On a quiet night, one family gathered inside their childhood home for a legal formality. Their father was dead, and his will was about to be read. What happened next would permanently destroy what was left of the family. The father was a wealthy man, property, land, cash, but his relationships with his children had been complicated. Neighbors later described the siblings as distant, resentful, competitive. Money had always been a silent, corrosive problem lurking just beneath the surface of their interactions. It was the unspoken tension at every holiday dinner, the subtext of every phone call. The family had been drifting apart for years, held together only by the fragile thread of their shared name and the fortune that came with it. That evening, as they sat in the dimly lit living room, the air was thick with expectation and old grievances. The family lawyer, a man who had known them for decades, cleared his throat and began reading the will. For the first few minutes, everything was calm, almost procedural. Minor bequests were made, sentimental items distributed. The siblings listened in stony silence. Then, a single sentence shattered the fragile peace. To my eldest son, the lawyer read, I bequeath the remainder of my estate, including all properties, assets, and liquid funds. The room fell silent. Nearly the entire fortune, a lifetime of accumulated wealth, had been left to one person. The same son who had recently moved back home after a series of failed business ventures. The same son the others saw as a disappointment, the one who had, in their eyes, contributed the least and demanded the most. The quiet erupted. Voices rose. Old accusations were thrown across the room like weapons. Witnesses, including the lawyer, later described the atmosphere as volatile, the tension becoming uncontrollable. A storm that had been brewing for decades had finally broken. Then, at exactly 9:40 p.m., the house plunged into absolute darkness. The power was cut. In the disorienting blackness, a woman's scream pierced the air, sharp and terrified. It was followed by a sickeningly heavy thud, the sound of something, or someone, hitting the floor. When the lights flickered back on, less than a minute later, the scene in the living room had been irrevocably altered. The eldest son was lying motionless on the antique carpet, unresponsive. A dark pool of blood was spreading from a wound on his head. Paramedics were called, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. At first, police treated it as a tragic accident, a fall in the dark, a terrible coincidence. But investigators quickly uncovered details that pointed to something far more sinister. The circuit breaker hadn't tripped. It had been manually shut off from the basement. The exterior security cameras, which would have captured anyone entering or leaving the property, had been unplugged hours earlier, and perhaps most telling of all, every single phone belonging to the siblings was found upstairs, clustered together on a nightstand. Someone had prepared for the darkness. Someone had ensured there would be no calls for help, no record of what was about to happen. The investigation zeroed in on the moments during the blackout. A motion-sensing grandfather clock in the hallway, an old family heirloom, became the silent star witness. Its internal log recorded movement during the power outage. It showed one person moving from the living room down the stairs to the basement, and a short time later, one person coming back up. Their alibi for the blackout period fell apart. Under intense questioning, the youngest sister finally broke. She confessed to knowing something that the others didn't, a secret she had stumbled upon just weeks before their father's death. While searching for old photographs in the attic, she had found a sealed box containing adoption records. The eldest son, the heir to the entire fortune, was not biologically related to the family. The siblings, once bound by family and fortune, severed all contact permanently. No one benefited from the inheritance. The family, and the wealth they fought over, simply ceased to exist. And according to court records, the power outage that night wasn't the first time someone tested the breaker. It was the third.